This is the Clean Slate Experience, and today we're talking about how to go from the right path to your own path with Nicalyn Perez, audiovisual artist of Goldmine. Nicalyn, hey.
Hello.
What's going on, man?
I'm doing very good, staying present, staying productive.
What's that about? Staying present, staying productive. Why is that important?
That's so important to me. I think it really pulls me out of my mind in the endless chatter and just brings me to the now, which is the only thing we have.
Huh. So the endless chatter. Now, I know a lot of people have a lot of chatter going on in their brains. Is it because you are a creative that you have this endless chatter?
Is that not normal?
I thought. I mean, what, for a creative or just for people?
For people.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, yes.
Yeah.
But it's just the way that you introduced yourself. Like, I am staying present and staying productive. So I thought it was intentional on your part.
Yes.
So there had to be a reason about that. Is there anything going on like recently that's making you want to center yourself that way?
Yeah, I think I always say to stay present because it's also a reminder for myself because I do end up thinking too hard sometimes about different things. I think as a creative, your profession becomes the sensitivity and awareness of emotions. So it's my intention to quiet that down and just also enjoy the present.
Yeah. You know what's really fascinating about today for me is as I've followed you and watched your work, like I always get like a fluid feeling. Like I enjoy water. Okay. I grew up in the islands, surrounded by water. I enjoy being on boats. Your work for me is just always like moving and fluid. And I find myself like caught in a trance when I'm watching your work. Is that intentional on your part? Are you doing something to me? Like what's that about?
Wow, thank you for receiving it that way because I also feel like when I'm working, I just go based off of what I'm feeling, like a sail in the sea, you know? And
Right.
If you've watched Soul recently, the Disney, yes, I think it's that flow state.
Okay.
So like always trying to find that flow state, I feel is the most relaxing, therapeutic trance I feel too. So it's cool for it to be received that way because I know people live through people when they just watch what they do.
Yeah.
So you're like feeling what I'm feeling when I work.
Yeah. Now, is that being received in the same manner by your peers, by the people who follow you, your audience? Are you doing it for them? Are you doing it for yourself? And they're just kind of like people in the room?
I like to think of art as a relationship thing, and that's an acronym as well. So a relationship thing, meaning it's something that I like to do, but also is received well.
Okay.
Because I feel art is most activated when it is received, but also enjoyed as an expression from the creator. So it's a relationship thing for sure.
You see, she talks like that. And she talks like that through her art. And you see this look on my face where I just like melt. That's what I get when I look at your stuff, especially on Instagram. Like I flow through, and even as I'm scrolling through, like your stuff will come up, and immediately it's like, oops. Let's go back to that. Like I know that. Like I know that work, and that's you. Talk to us about like your beginnings. Like how did you even? You mentioned you're an audiovisual artist. Like what is that?
To me, an audiovisual artist is somebody that practices the fine art of both the audio and the visual side of creativity. So it's a spectrum, but it's also where it meets. And I find it fascinating to see how audio and visual arts meet in the intersection. So that's why I've focused a lot of my craft in filmmaking, because that does encompass both the audio and visual arts.
So which one started first? Like were you an artist first or?
As a kid, I would say it just both happened at the same time. Like I was doing a lot of karaoke because it's the Filipino culture. And then I was also doodling a lot. And then it was just happening alongside. And I would love to dance too. And dance was also another, I would say, like intersection of audio and visual arts because you're visually expressing something to trace sound. So I found that overlap is really just where the sweet spot is for me.
No, keep talking. Like, no, you can't just end like that. That's.
What do you want to unpack? Like what?
So okay, all right. Okay, so you started I hate that your work does this to me. Because, you know, we don't get to talk often. I mean, we've worked on projects before, but again, this is what I get from your work. This is what I get from her work. You got to check it out, because it just leaves you in that state where it's like, I want more. Like, no, keep talking. Like, I don't want to talk right now. So keep talking.
So I think over time, even when I decided to start painting more, I think that was one of the biggest first things I took seriously in the fine arts is painting. But even with painting, I would make sure that I was listening to the music I liked. So that moment, that flow state of painting and listening to music was definitely something that really like pinged my soul of like, this is it. This is where you want to be. So I kept on being in that state. And then next thing I knew, there was just so many paintings around me. I finished, and I was just staying present and staying like just in that flow. And I think the way that it was received from people, that was another ping to my soul, that I was just like, dang, people really like my work.
Yeah. So
it made me search for that more, to inspire other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they received it so well. And they would tell me, even when I was in like kindergarten, like, you can draw. And I didn't know. I was just being me.
You're just doodling.
Yeah, I was just doodling, just having fun. And then you don't know something's a talent till like people start telling you like, this is actually extraordinary.
Yeah.
So I would follow that.
Okay.
Like, feedback really meant a lot to me. It still means a lot to me, but I'm starting to also listen to myself nowadays.
All right. So we're talking about doodling. All right. You're doing that. People are noticing. It's turned into something. Okay. So this is you as a kid. Talk to me about that journey then. So you as a kid, you went through grade school, you know, and you got into high school and so forth. Like, where was there separation from your passion? Like the thing that you did so well, and then how did you get back to it?
Do you mean going from my passion to service?
Work,
yeah.
And then coming back around to your passion and now making it audiovisual. Right.
So I, like I said, with art being a relationship thing, I also think that if you want to live in the creative world, you have to have something that's lucrative. And so I had to make sure that what I was doing, if it wasn't just my personal passions, it had to be something that also people needed.
Yeah.
So I brought that together and into something I needed as an artist as well, which is documentation. And so I found that studying both the audio and visual arts really helped me bring a different perspective in the filmmaking industry.
Okay. So we're going to take a step back and then come forward to the filmmaking industry. All right. So when did you even recognize that you were creative? Like, what did that term? So for me, I'm not big on titles. Okay. I'm just Gerren doing Gerren, whatever it means to you. Awesome type of deal. When did you learn of the term creative, and when did you attach it to yourself as you being one?
It wasn't till after high school that I decided that I was becoming a creative.
Okay.
I think that I was always, doodling, dancing, singing, and then I remember distinctly my friend would tell me, why are you going into nursing? You're an artist. So I was going into nursing to USF. And I told her, and she was just like shocked because she recognized me as an artist before I did. And I always remembered that and just like continued on my path, like, okay, whatever. And then as I was in class and doing school, I would just notice that all I wanted to do was doodle. All I wanted to do was dance on the dance team I was part of at USF. Yeah. And I just saw my wants versus like how my body was wanting to react and how I really just wanted to create. So it wasn't until I fell into a deep depression just trying to be something I wasn't, that my body just told me that I was a creative, but I couldn't escape it. And even though I tried.
Where did this whole nursing thing come from?
I just wanted to care for people. I just wanted to help people. My mom, being raised with my mom, she always thought she had this and that. So I had this medical book, and I would just be like, I guess you have. And then I think just like with that experience, I was like, I guess it would be fun to be a nurse. I'd be able to help people.
Yeah.
But then I realized I didn't have to be a nurse to help people.
Go.
So I realized my memory wasn't too great. So I didn't want to put people's lives in the hands of a forgetful person.
Yeah.
So after realizing how much I had to memorize and how much my soul was telling me, this isn't it, girl, this isn't it, I just continued on in the creative realm instead.
What I love about what you're saying is that I just continued doodling, and I love to dance, and the feeling that I had when I was dancing was this, and my soul was talking to me. And I believe often that our soul is speaking to us like, hey, it's this. And we fight it. We fight it for a whole host of reasons. Why did you fight it in the beginning?
I was raised as an academic, and I was raised to focus on that, and I did, and I got, I was getting honor rolls, I was getting, acknowledged with the principal's awards and all of that.
You don't sound so excited.
I just it's just so funny because I think all that fluff made me think that was and it's a good thing. It's still a good thing, but I think all of that made me think that I wanted to lead an academic life. And I fought it so much because I was taught to be in a realm of logistics and ones and zeros and the science of everything, and because of that, I think it did sway me into thinking I had to do a certain path. But when my body turned off and it was just I fought so much that I was at rock bottom. I knew that the only place I could go is where it was consistent, and that was creativity.
I love it. So it took you getting to rock bottom for you to recognize that was the only thing that would lift you up.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I wanted to do
at that very moment.
That was life and death.
No, I like this, man. I like this because I believe a lot of people have hit rock bottom, and sometimes they still end up clinging to that thing that their parents said they should do or their friends say they should do versus what their soul is telling them they ought to do, you know? No matter how radical it seems or it appears to our peers, if that's what your soul is saying, listen, right?
Exactly.
So talk to us about some radical changes that you made. Because, I mean, this is one of the things that I love about the Clean Slate experience is we get to delve into the radical changes and pivots that people have made to then find themselves where they are today. So talk to us about some of that.
The journey from going linear to a space of that sporadic, emotion-driven world was wild because I had to do a lot of dabbling to figure out what my focus was. Okay. So my focus is now filmmaking in the audiovisual arts. Okay. So to get there, it took a lot of different adventures as an artist, which I do not regret anything because it all played in at the end. Yeah. And I started off doing, after college, I started off doing a lot of painting classes. Okay. So I was teaching paint classes, and I loved it. I definitely loved it. But then, certain things lose a spark over time, and that's why you start dabbling and start moving on to something else. Okay. Yep. And so I started singing. I started doing more of that, and it was almost like all of my childhood play turning into something more serious. And I did professionalize in all of those different worlds. So what was doodling turned into painting and selling paintings and teaching, and then what was just dancing, I was like dancing on the dance team, and then what was just singing, I started doing different covers and performing at restaurants as this little band with some of my college peers. Yep. And I tried it all, but it still wasn't something that I felt I could live off of.
Okay.
Something that I felt was a good focus that the world needed from me.
Okay.
So to find that, it took a while to see like what is something that I'm good at that will stick to the point that I can focus on it and people need that. So over time, it turned into documentation and helping people get their message out through video.
The one thing I haven't heard you say as yet is I was doing this for money. Like I was doing this because I wanted to just earn a living. I'm hearing you just staying in tune with yourself and what brought you joy, and then you're thinking about others. What will bring either joy to others or help others? And here you are, like progressing along, you're focused on this. And through that, you're earning a living. Like that comes as a end result to all the other work that I'm doing. Another thing that I'm hearing you say is you stayed curious to those childhood things that you enjoyed. You tested them out. You made a profession out of each and every one of them. And then you listened. You checked back in with yourself, and I was like, am I there? Am I fully where I should be right now? And when you recognize like it was no, it was like, okay, well, let me keep digging again.
Yep.
And you stayed playing in that sandbox. What was that like? And I want you to answer it in a way where, because I'm sure there's people out there who you might be feeling the same way, where you're feeling like I like this and I like that. I know my parents are going to say like, this is silly, but I like this and I like that. And I'm hearing what Nicalyn did. Like, how can you help someone feel encouraged to explore those things that they find brings them joy?
Me and a couple of colleagues started a company called Goldmine, and that really helped be the anchor to all the things creative I was doing. So it was almost like the sandbox for me to play in.
Yeah.
And I was able to do whatever I wanted. My business partners, they were just so open-minded with everything, and that helped a lot. And I found myself really having fun making events. And I remember being asked to be in an event as a painter, and that made me paint more. It made me see how people saw my work. And so I started curating a lot of events with the company.
Yeah.
And that's how that kind of flourished into what it is today.
I heard you where you said you didn't stop there. Like, and then you looked at dancing, and then you looked at the way, the fact that you sung. What about that person who says like, nah, this is something that I enjoyed as a kid. I'm doing it now. I'm earning a living. Let me stop here. Like, what was that tipping point that would make someone say, I'll stop here, versus what you did and you said, now let me explore some more? What do you think is going on in their minds?
I think sometimes people stop because they felt they've dabbled too much, or they felt like they keep throwing something at the wall and it's not sticking. But people need to, I guess, put their ego aside, because I did feel my ego shatter a little, because I was, for some reason, I would announce when I was something new. And when you do that, it's almost like the pressure of this figment of your imagination, of people, what people think. The pressure of their thoughts became kind of this game, and with my ego, like saying I would be a paint instructor, and then now I was doing something else, and then I was doing something else. So I definitely recommend whoever's dabbling or is not sure yet if what they're doing is it to not announce it, to just do it.
Okay.
Because I think that was one of the biggest things that like could have stopped me, is just like constantly announcing what I was now.
So now everyone was kind of like listening and waiting.
Yeah.
What's she gonna do?
I was just a baby. I was
just being
growing.
curious.
Yeah.
I love it. As I look at some of the things that I do, granted, many people know Gerren quit his job to, become a janitor. That was the decision. Okay. So that was like the starting point. And then from there, as a result of being in that industry and working in that industry, I've met so many people along the way. And through what you've shared with me I have decided like, yeah, well, you know what? I'm interested in that. Let me try that out. Try this out. And the janitor work is what allowed me to explore. Now, granted, when I made a decision to do so, you know, my peers were like, yo, what are you doing? My mother, you went to school, son. I'm like, what are you doing? But I saw a bigger picture. I don't even want to say like I was ready to dabble. I knew how I felt when I had that encounter with the person. And it made me feel so good on the inside. I got chills, and it was enough chills to say, like, I'll do this. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put my heart and soul into it, right? And as I continue to grow as a person, like, you guys have afforded me the opportunities to dabble into different things. And then because I'm so excited to see you dabble or see you experience like you when you're at your best, like that project we worked on, it was like, I just want to see Nicalyn do something cool. Like, I want to be a part of the fact that she's doing something cool. I know you can do it on your own, but if you have another client, you get to do it again. And the joy that it would bring you and your team, for me, like, I'm excited for that. So I'll clean more toilets, I'll vacuum more floors so I can allow the people in my world to do more of what it is they want to do. Because for me, that brings me joy. Does it make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm looking at people who are out there, and I'm thinking about them, and I'm thinking about, you know, the struggle, the battle that they have within their minds. They're looking at their bills, they're looking at everything around them and saying like, I have to be able to sustain this. But years are passing by, and they're not being curious. They're not dabbling like you did. They're doodling at their desk, and they know that it brings them joy, but I got to churn out this report. And they churn it out, and they go home, and then they don't get to doodle again for the day. And that's 24 hours that goes by. And then there's another day of that same activity, that same cycle. And time goes. I mean, what would you say to them? Those people who are just finding, and I don't want to just say people who are just finding themselves stuck, but like, I genuinely feel for people who don't get to be curious about the things that brings them joy. What would you say to them?
I would say that, and something that it took a long time learning, but I realize it's a gradient. I can't just drop everything once I decide I want to become an artist.
Okay.
It was a gradient for me. So alongside of creating, this whole time I'm creating a body of work, I'm also waiting tables. So I'm not, at the time, you know, I was doing that, and it took a long time of waiting tables alongside of my creative career before I could venture off. Yeah. So for me, I'd say from experience, it's really a gradient. So if you're doing something that you don't want to do, think of it as a funding program to do what you want to do.
Okay. So tell me about this. I want to know about somebody cool that you met while waiting tables that you're still either in contact with, have worked with, has helped to spawn something. Like, I don't think that this is just my belief, I might be wrong, but I don't think that your years of waiting tables were just like worthless. Like, so what did you gain from that experience? Who did you gain from that experience?
Waiting tables was a really fun experience for me because I kind of was raised under a rock. I was raised without any like cable, internet, cell phone, and I was an only child too. So waiting tables for me helped me build my conversational skills and connecting with people even on a fast basis. Yeah. And I got to learn even how to run a business because as a server, you're kind of running your own little business on how you upsell things or how you just provide value through just being a good person. Yeah. So I found that it really helped just with my networking skills. While
you were going through that, you weren't thinking that way, were you? Or
no, I wasn't. I was just going and just trying to be a good person.
Yeah. So it's in hindsight you're seeing that.
Yes. Along the way, I was like, wow, I'm like really getting a practice of like talking to people
quickly, fast.
Yeah, connecting with people, and I found that I really enjoyed it because I started off as an introvert. I don't know if you relate, but as an introvert, you know, talking to people is one of the most difficult things.
It's exhausting, isn't it?
Yeah. And so I was able to find the joy in connecting with people, even if it meant like getting over that hump of fear.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I love what you just said, because you said I had so much time to practice. Everyone that came in and sat in your area, that was a new conversation, a new set of folks. Either they were repeat customers or new customers, and your goal probably was either to upsell them or make them become repeat customers or whatever, or just meet their needs. And you had so many opportunities to do that. Fast forward to now, how is that coming into play?
Providing an experience, because every time I was serving, waiting on a table, their dining experience was how they defined their night. You know, that person probably had a long bad day, and they were looking forward to just having dinner.
Yeah.
That was me yesterday when I went to go out to eat. I was having a tough day, but I was looking forward to just having dinner with my friends.
Yeah.
And that, like, having a really great server alongside of that I felt like it was just like the cherry on top and just what you need. So I feel like when I deal with my clients or my when I'm talking to my partners, I definitely feel that sense of hospitality and being able to like really serve people.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack there.
How do you feel when you're able to serve people with things they need too? Like, do you feel that service side?
I get giddy, man. Like, you know, I love connecting people. Especially when I hear like you're looking for something, and then I hear someone over on the other side and they're saying like, man, I wish I could find. And I'm like, here, you guys talk. And then what I love to do is just sit back and watch. I love to just sit back and watch it happen. Like, because all of a sudden your need is met, that person's need is met, and now there's so much chemistry going on. And for me, being able to do that is exciting. Being able to see it is exciting. And then all of a sudden I find myself saying like, I want to see that again. Like, how much money do I need to hire them to do something cool just to see it again? So for me, that's what brings me a whole ton of joy, man. Like, I'm not and so I look at life as being these pockets of experiences, you know, that brings me joy. And I don't want to wait until I'm old to retire and say, well, then I'll try to find joy. Well, I had so many experiences. I had so many opportunities, just like you know, every single day working as a waitress. For me, it's like every single day being alive, we can create a new experience. So I want to bring joy to the people that are around me. That's why you see, like, when I saw you guys and I jumped out of my truck, I was like, my favorite people.
Yes.
You know, if it brought you a smile on your day, no matter what it was you guys were talking about before, no matter what you're going into, it's like, for that moment in time where we were together, I smiled. That's it. I've done my job. I feel good about it. And I'm just, I'm excited, man. So shoot. Yeah.
You love the process.
I do. And the process is important.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about the many years that you were a waitress. Like, when I was 9, I said that I wanted to retire at the age of 45. That's like 36 years away. Like, who sets up a 36-year goal like that, you know? And for me, retiring wasn't necessarily not working, but it was just being able to be at a space where I'm enjoying what I'm doing. So I gave myself that amount of time. So I was being patient. I don't know where I got that patience from, right? But I look back on the way that you, like, the one thing that I love about what you said is the fact that you look back on being a waitress and said, I had so many opportunities to practice. And I don't believe that everyone looks at their work or their workplace as a place of practice. They just look at it as, oh, I'm not where I want to be. Oh. And then they go through their days, oh, versus seeing it as a new opportunity to practice a skill. Now, you didn't know what skill was going to come from that. But if you at least opened your mind and said, like, I'm practicing a skill. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'll need from this, but I'm practicing. Come on, let's just do it. To get to the goal of which you wanted to, you may have needed something from back then. And if you were open, you could get to that goal faster. And that's what I push. That's what I encourage people to do. Like, think about what your work as being a fast track to where you want to really be. And even though you're here, audiovisual artists, there's still another chapter to your story. And I'm excited to see what it's gonna be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like even now that you've paused here to kind of like hang out in this area and develop, there's still another side that's gonna bring you even more joy, and it's gonna be really cool to see it. And that's what I want for everyone else who's out there to just realize, like, life gifts us opportunities to practice something.
Definitely.
That's kind of where I'm at, man. So I know you haven't talked about it, but I'm going to pose it. So you guys moved from one part of Florida and moved into another part of Florida. And as a collective group, you guys all converged on one house.
Yes.
To live together, to kind of figure stuff out. That's pretty radical. Like, tell me about that.
The company Goldmine started off in Tampa. And it was 3 of us, Jasmine, Ryan, and I, Nicalyn. And Ryan and I decided to move to Orlando to kind of branch out. And we ended up being able to move into this house with 5 other creatives. And it was different types of creativity. So one person was a dancer, another person is a yogi. The other person loved painting and is an entrepreneur, and the other person is heavy into filmmaking and an entrepreneurship too. And Ryan with the DJing and producing. So there was just all the flavors of creativity with me and my painting and singing, and we all got together, and it felt crazy because a lot of us didn't even know each other, but we all merged into this one house, and it was definitely a big risk for all of us. Now that I look back at it, I'm just like, I don't think I would ever do that again, just because of like the risk factor of it being people that that you don't get along with. But
Right.
we got so lucky. Like, everybody vibed so well, and we all learned so much from each other. We picked our brains apart, like, from the different strengths we had.
Yeah.
And I think that we all play on those strengths now. And we're all I feel like we all have just a balanced set of skills and awareness to things that might have been weaknesses, because we're all playing on each other's strengths. Yeah. It was amazing to be in that house. Like, I still think of that as one of the greatest chapters of my life.
I bet. Every time I hear it, every time I reflect on it, on the story that I heard, I say the same thing. Like that was risky.
Yeah.
And then you're hoping that everyone is responsible, because we have expenses for this house. And then you don't know everyone, but then you're bringing food into the house, so you're trusting that the person is going to be respectful of that too. And are they clean? You know, like, there's so many things going on, and you guys did it. And then you've kind of like all like grown and like spread out. And now you're bringing even more people to the fold. Like, and I think that's like a microcosm of like what life is. You know, we're in this world together. We're on this planet together. Like, why not work together and play on each other's strengths rather than using energy and, time to kind of like beat down one another? Like, I just want to be around cool people who are doing cool things all the time. Yeah.
We learned so much from each other. It was crazy. And we called the house Hustlepuff. The House of Hustlepuff.
I didn't know about that.
It was like Hufflepuff, but we were hustling. So House of Hufflepuff from Hogwarts. If you don't know.
Yeah, right? That's awesome. So like, what's the next chapter? As we wrap this up, like, what's the next chapter for you? What's going on?
So now Ryan and I live in this condo downtown.
I'm assuming Ryan is
He's my soulmate.
All right. Boom.
Yes.
Okay. Go Ryan.
And we run Goldmine together with Jasmine, who's still in Tampa. So we still are heavily into the Tampa community as well.
Okay.
And so as we grow our Tampa and Orlando sectors, we're just gonna go ham on Goldmine being the event production, artist branding company, and see where it goes with making a few other companies that can play into the mix as well.
Okay. So use this time. So who are you looking for? I mean, who is Goldmine looking for to work with?
So Goldmine, as an artist branding and event production company, we want to work with people that are looking to create and not worry about the branding side of it. To only create and not worry about the time put into building their social media or getting their document or getting their story out there.
Yeah. Without, to just focus on their strengths.
Yeah, so they can just focus on creating. I think that was one of the biggest struggles of trying to live off of my creativity, was that I needed a team.
Yep.
And so it was really hard for me to just be a painter because of all the other things I needed to do. Yeah. So I'm here to provide the help for that.
Like, yeah. And that's how life should be. We're all working together, leaning on each other's strengths. Like this makes what I do feel so much more like, oh, so impactful. You know, like I love that. And all of a sudden I'm thinking about, like, who can I connect you guys with, or who do I know that may need something like this? Like I'm just, yeah.
Yes. And the events, it really helps bring that all into a space of being present. Back to the beginning.
Circle right back around.
You know, like there's the artist branding and everything, but at the end of the day, it's that moment when you're in front of people, with people, sharing art directly with people. Yeah. That want to see it. Yeah. And I think that's where it all leads up to. You build the brand, and then you bring it together in front of the people in the now. In the now. The only thing we have.
Listen, this is what the Clean Slate experience is about. I love it. Highlighting people who have pivoted and just fast-tracked their calling. Let's go back. I mean, you've heard the story today from Nicalyn. When she was just a kid, doodling, singing, dancing. Fast forward several years, and we're talking about Goldmine. And Goldmine is going to be answering the call for some kid, some adult out there who is struggling, wanting to be present within the thing that they do best. And they're like, I just need help. I just need some help. And herein lies Goldmine, birthed out of someone who just enjoyed doodling and singing. I want to remind you on that, because the important part to that is that the thing that you enjoy doing right now, you just don't know exactly where it's going to take you. But if you stick with it and you stick with the journey, no matter the ups and downs that comes with it, no matter if you're a waiter or a waitress, we're talking about even people who are in the professional world where they're, corporate individuals, you're doing your thing. And deep down within, your soul is screaming at you like when are we gonna do our? It's waiting for you to make that decision. Nicalyn did it. I did it. You can do it. Your soul is screaming, man. It's screaming at you like, answer the call. I'm looking forward to Goldmine. I'm looking forward to our listeners and our viewers, their Goldmine. And that's an awesome name now that I'm saying it over. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that, man, because I think when we're at our very best, that's when life really, really begins. But the journey is important, and it's critical to our success. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, man. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for sharing it with me. This is the Clean Slate experience, man. This is what we do, helping people highlight the things that they want to do in their lives, teaching them, showing them how they can pivot and fast track their calling. Nicalyn, thank you.
Thank you.